We got a whole lot of news to get to today. First, the Democrats are doubling down on their insane socialist policies. You're not going to believe why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks they lost Virginia. Plus, guess what? Believe it or not, we're starting to see things come to fruition with the whole John Durham investigation. He has just made his third arrest here, and amazingly, there are connections to the Clintons. Go figure. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I'm Trish. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Immunity Armor Gold, one of the most advanced immunity boosting formulas you can get out there, certainly the most advanced in one single product. Go to immunityarmorgold.com and use promo code TRISH10 to get 10% off. That's immunityarmorgold.com, promo code TRISH10. But wow, first of all, Democrats are doubling down. I'm going to get to that Durham thing in a second, so hang tight on that one. You're just not going to believe how twisted it all is. But anyway, first on the Democrats and their policies right now and how they think that somehow the answer to losing is to just have more socialist freebies and giveaways. So now they're talking about putting back, they did actually, Nancy Pelosi sent a letter there to the House just this week saying that they were putting the family and medical leave policy back into the Build Back Better plan. Don't forget they had ditched that. That was actually one of the things that I thought they might have been able to politically sell. I mean, forget the whole housing for everybody and the pre-K, et cetera. All of which, by the way, are super great ideas that we just can't afford. We can't afford the Family and Medical Leave Act either, but nonetheless, Nancy Pelosi is putting it back in because they don't want to be seen as being anti-parent, right? And they're trying to compete for the suburban women's vote, which clearly wasn't on their side in Virginia. But of course, that's because, in their view, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's, McAuliffe didn't do enough to offer all those socialist giveaways. Here's her explanation. Listen.
Plus, on the election front, I actually think we have good news as well. I know that Virginia was a huge bummer. And honestly, if anything, I think that the results show the limits of trying to run a fully 100% super moderated campaign that does not excite, speak to, or energize a progressive base. And frankly, we weren't even really invited to contribute on that race.
I see. So the answer is you just need more socialist policies, right? And then all of a sudden everybody will feel better about things and they'll be more energized and they'll be more mobilized to go out and vote. So that's the prescription here. I mean, I would argue it's actually the opposite. I think that people feel like there's been too much infringement on their rights. I mean, you think about those rights, just even with the mandates we're seeing for employers and vaccines, and there's going to be a whole lot of legal hurdles that they'll need to cross on this. In fact, 24 attorney generals in states all across the country have said that they're going to fight this. The Biden administration now saying that every company with more than 100 employees needs to mandate these vaccines. And for some people, it's taken it just too far. I mean, you think about big companies, including, by the way, JP Morgan Chase, which has encouraged vaccines, but not yet mandated them. So again, 24 states firing back against this. And you think about how the administration was really trying to position curriculum at a federal level that didn't sit well with parents in Virginia, or frankly, even, I mean, you think about New Jersey and how close that race was. I don't think this top-down executive power sort of, signing with the pen is going to fly with that many Americans. So increasingly, it will be a problem, which is one of the reasons why, let me get to a sponsor of our program here, one of the reasons why I think you need to think about how you protect yourself in light of all the freedoms that are being taken away. I mean, the one thing that if you own it, you're always going to own is gold, right? Legacy Precious Metals is a company that's been in this business for 40 years. You've heard me talk about them a lot because I believe in diversified portfolios. I believe in investing in alternative assets, including commodities like gold, copper, silver, also worth looking at for you. They can do it all here at legacypminvestments.com. I would encourage you to go and download their free guide that explains it all. You can get a gold-backed IRA, or you can get the actual physical stuff, like right in your home. And that's the kind of thing that always holds value. I mean, when inflation's going up, inflation's going down. I mean, we'll see. I don't think inflation's going down. I think inflation's only going up. But given that the market goes up, the market goes down, that's the one investment that you can kind of feel good about in good times and in bad. Gold, that is. It's one of the reasons why I like it, to help balance out my portfolio. And when I turn to investing in gold, I really trust these guys. I think you should as well. Give them a ring. 1-866-589-0560 is their number. You can tell them that Trish Regan sent you. 1-866-589-0560. I know that they're going to help you out a lot. And it's important right now, given how crazy the world is getting, given how we've got all these socialist policies that are really and truly coming into play. They're a big deal. All right, let me turn to the other story making news at this moment, and that is the third arrest that's actually happened. We've been waiting for more news on the Durham investigation. I want to share with you the report that just crossed this week. Danchenko is the guy that they are arresting. This gentleman named Danchenko, who's a Russian analyst, Igor Danchenko, a Russian analyst based here in the U.S., did a lot of work for Christopher Steele on this particular document, according to Durham. And so they filed charges there, accusing him of lying to the FBI about his sources on the information. And according to this investigation, his sources included a close associate of Hillary Clinton. Like, how bad can we get here? I'm going to read from the AP report for you right now. The indictment, the third criminal case brought by Durham and the second in a 2-month span, is likely to boost complaints from Trump allies that well-connected Democrats worked behind the scenes to advance suspicions about Trump and Russia that contributed to the FBI's election year investigation. I mean, I don't know if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. You know, often it's a duck. It's a little suspicious that this guy was connected with an associate of Hillary Clinton. That's a little disturbing to me, because what they're saying is that this Danchenko, Igor Danchenko, who is a U.S.-based Russian, specialized in Russian and Eurasian matters at the Brookings Institute, the think tank, and became that significant source for the Steele dossier. So this guy was doing all the research, which then Christopher Steele, the ex-British spy, went and used. And this particular guy was a US-based Russian analyst connected to a PR person in the Hillary Clinton team. And allegedly, per this report from Durham, was using the information from the PR person that had worked for Clinton to help spin his tale, so to speak. The indictment says Danchenko had sourced one or more allegations in the dossier anonymously to that Clinton source, a Democrat operative who campaigned for Clinton, a public relations executive. Now, we don't know who that public relations executive was or is. We don't know the closeness of that relationship, but I find that highly troubling, that the FBI was relying on a Clinton associate for information about her rival. I mean, think about that for a second. And I find it really disturbing that the FBI couldn't actually source all this stuff out on its own. Instead, they go to this guy, right, who's writing this dossier up using the PR person's allegations. And the indictment says Danchenko had sourced one or more allegations in the dossier anonymously to that Clinton associate, who is not named in the court papers. As the FBI worked to corroborate the dossier's allegation, it would have been important to know the Democrats' role, you think, in feeding information for it, because it bore upon its reliability, motivations, and potential bias as a source. In other words, how can you trust the information when it's coming to you from the other side that's trying to take Trump out? The unnamed Clinton ally, continues the report, had stayed at the same hotel in June 2016 that Trump had stayed at and attended meetings with Danchenko, according to the indictment. Forgive me, not the same hotel as Trump. That's still debatable. But the hotel, right, where all this bad stuff was said to have occurred. Listen, it's pretty darn messy stuff. But I'm gonna go back to what strikes me as quite wrong. And that's that the FBI relied on information from this ex-British spy who was relying on information from the Brookings Institute's Danchenko, who was relying on information from a PR person that was a Hillary Clinton associate. Okay, you see where I'm going? I mean, I know it's kind of complicated and it's just problematic that all things are leading back to the Clintons. And I'll leave it at that. Look, I think that more needs to be known. I think that more will come out. It's important that these revelations come forward because we need to understand what happened. We need to really understand and know the dirty tricks that go on. You saw in Virginia what the Lincoln Project tried to do to try and insinuate that the supporters of Youngkin were nothing but a bunch of, racists and horrible people. And it turned out they were just like hired actors, to go and try and pretend that they were supporting Youngkin, and they were staged by the Lincoln Project. I mean, this is pretty upsetting. This is so disgusting and it's so wrong. And we need, as Americans, to get to the bottom of all of these things, including what the heck happened with this dossier. So this is an important step. Don't forget, a lot of powerful people now believe that a lot of heads will roll, and some very important heads at that. So we will see where this is going. Time will tell. And look, I'm a patient person. I'm sure you are too. I'm patient when it comes to the truth. We've had to exhibit, shall we say, a lot of patience in this entire ordeal, only because it's taking so long. But we need that information, and we deserve that information. So again, the third arrest coming from John Durham there, in a very peculiar situation with alleged ties back to Hillary Clinton's team. Very disturbing stuff. Just a reminder, please make sure you go and download the full audio version of this podcast. You can get it on Apple iTunes, you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Amazon, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you look up the Trish Regan Show. You download all of that. Do go to my website where we are covering all of these stories and a whole lot more. TrishIntel.com. Again, TrishIntel.com. And I will see you back here tomorrow.